Thank you, thank you. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I planned on getting on the stage in the same manner Ryan did, but he always shows off and has to do something ahead of me, so I used the stairs instead. Blessed, blessed, blessed is what I feel this morning. Blessed for kids and blessed for all you hardworking folks in this auditorium this morning. And I woke up Saturday morning bright and early, and I text Ryan and Cindy and whomever else was in that group text, and I said, I don't know, I'm not a very emotional person, but I can't stop crying this morning. And that was before I even got to any of the campuses. And Ryan texted back, and he said, I beat you to that already. And I said, I bet you did. Without a doubt, this is a Lafayette proud moment in so many ways and on so many levels. Ryan asked that I speak this morning. He got 10. He only gave me 5. I'll have to talk to him about that a little later. But he said, if in that 5 minutes, Tros, if you could just talk about what this means for the district. And I agreed. But I thought, now, I know Ryan knows me quite well. He should know that I'm not going to spend 5 minutes talking about what this means for the district. I'm going to use my 5 minutes to talk about what this means for kids, because that's our business, kids. I've been in this business for 3.5 decades. I'm trying to find a better way to say starting 36 years. That sounds like it's just tremendous. So I started trying 3.5 decades, and I think that sounds even worse. But I have been honored and blessed in those 3.5 decades to work in high poverty schools. So I know the challenges, I know the struggles, but boy, oh boy, do I know the importance of that work. And I know what happens when we come together and we don't drop expectations for children of poverty. We raise the expectations for ourselves in working with those children. So I've been blessed to have been a principal at 3 different schools in my career, and I always began each year sharing a poem. And I know you've heard this poem, but we're gonna talk about it again this morning a little bit. And it's called "'Cause I Ain't Got a Pencil." I woke myself up because we ain't got an alarm clock. Dug in the dirty clothes basket 'cause ain't nobody washed my uniform. Brushed my hair and teeth in the dark 'cause the lights ain't on. Even got my baby sister ready 'cause my mama wasn't home. Got us both to school on time to eat us a good breakfast. Then when I got to class, the teacher fussed 'cause I ain't got a pencil. You know kids that come to you after a morning like that? I know that they do. This is reality for so many of our children. And in working with Ryan and everyone else involved in this project, we talked a lot about the impact of this initiative and stuff like this. When kids do not feel emotionally safe on a campus, and we talk about, we need campuses that are safe. We need to stop thinking that that means that they're safe physically for our kids, or our campus is safe emotionally for our children. And when we take care of the emotional and social needs, where kids can come into school Thursday and have everything they need, have the same materials as the child sitting next to them, then the business of teaching and learning can take place. This poem here was written by a gentleman who observed an incident in an Atlanta school in 2014, Joshua Dickerson. And what he saw was a child who needed a pencil to do his work. And I know it's hard and it's frustrating as a teacher that you're giving out supplies, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit when Ryan and his group come back up. But this child approached his teacher for a pencil. And the teacher made him trade in or give as collateral one of his shoes for that pencil. And he did. And of course, you can imagine the shape of the sock that he had on. And the whole class laughed at his expense. And I wonder how much learning that child was able to focus on for the rest of that day, or how much learning that child was able to focus on in that teacher's class for the rest of the year. That was not an emotionally safe area for that kid. I am so grateful on behalf of LPSS and each one of you in here today that our kids are going to come and they're going to feel emotionally safe. They're going to have what they need, and you all will be able to do your work so much better. Kids should never come to school and be reminded that they're poor. Never. We have the responsibility to take away as many barriers as we can to learning. And I want to thank Love Our Schools for taking away major barriers through this initiative. Our families deserve to pull up and drop their children off at attractive, clean, inspiring learning places. And boy, oh boy, when you get on your campuses today, if you've not already seen those campuses, you will be amazed at the community support and love that was poured out Saturday by many, many individuals, children from other schools, people from other districts, folks came in from other states, and it was truly amazing to watch. Someone on Saturday, well, actually more than one person, said, Ms. Tross, how do we thank these people? How do we pay back? The community gave so much, what do we give back? And I think each one of you in here, you already know that answer. We give back children who can graduate from high school. That's what this community wants. That's what this community needs, and that's what our children deserve. Children who are ready by the time they leave third grade to they're reading on level. It's all our early childhood people. Children that are leaving fifth grade and walking onto middle school campuses with gaps that aren't so large that our middle school folks can't close them. And middle school folks who know the data on each and every child that you teach. You should already know that by now. And if you don't, I hope you know your children, your students' data before they get to you on Thursday, because there's not a minute to waste. The number of children entering high school this year as 9T students has increased. And we need that to decrease. In the same way that every person in this Love Our Schools initiative had to collaborate and network and organize and pay attention to detail, that's what we need each one of you doing in whatever role, at whatever level that you work with kids. Custodians, cafeteria workers, we have some of you in here, paras in here. Please, please do not ever underestimate the power and the impact that you can have. My mother worked in an elementary school cafeteria for 30 years. And I know the impact and the connections that she made for kids. Coming through the lunch line might have been the only smile they got in that day. So thank you to those of you who are here. I'm going to go back to this poem because I think so many people focus on that last line and think that this poem is only about poverty because I ain't got a pencil. But let's look at the different things that say so much more about this particular student. I woke myself up. I dug in the dirty clothes basket. I brushed my hair and teeth in the dark. Even got my baby sister ready. Got us both to school on time, and I got to class. If that doesn't speak survival, resilience, and determination, I don't know what does. And I will say one other thing. When a child goes through all of this, to get to your classroom, to get on our campuses and get in our schools, boy, oh boy, do they deserve so much more than a mediocre or less than average teacher. They deserve a teacher who has studied his or her lessons to the point you are so prepared, you know where your kids in your class are going to struggle. That's what real lesson planning is. They deserve a teacher that stands in front of them and believes in them and does not allow excuses. I'm not here saying make excuses for children. When we make excuses for children, we are loving them into failure. Don't love our kids into failure. Have high expectations. Push them. Push yourselves. And offer the support along the way. Our kids deserve to be in front of a teacher that you would want your own children to be being taught by. Our children deserve to have a teacher that you would want your own children to have. I know what can happen in our zone schools. It's the only kind of schools I've ever worked in, and magic happened because we paid attention to detail. Detail. And when it got hard, we leaned on our colleague and we said, boy, I'm struggling today. And you'll learn that they're struggling too. But you know what's a real struggle? A real struggle is a kid who can't read when he's an adult. The real struggle is a kid who can't get a high school diploma. So this part, thank you, Love Our Schools. You've taken down some barriers for our students and for our fine educators. And how do we give back to our community? We give back by getting in there on Thursday and making that magic happen. And we know that magic happens in our classrooms. Teachers, reach out. We'll be on your campuses. Our teams will be on your campuses. We're not coming to look at the people doing the work. So don't resist and close your door and put the bulletin board paper on the window. We recognize that the work is hard and it's challenging, but we recognize that the work is extremely important. We're not coming to look at the people doing the work. We're coming to look at the work that people are doing. And there's a big difference in those two. We will know how to support you by looking at the work and the trends and the things that we see. But if you see us around and you're really struggling, say that. I tell people all the time I'm struggling. I reach out to folks all the time, and I encourage you to do the same. What does this mean to our district, Ryan? It means everything. We promise to give back to this community, kids who are ready. You all have helped tremendously, and on behalf of Lafayette Parish School System and on behalf of me personally, thank you from the bottom of all of our hearts. Thank you.